5 years had passed, yet the bitter taste of ridicule still lingered for Marcus Greene. When the invitation arrived for his high school reunion, tucked beneath a mountain of ignored mail, a familiar, ornate script beckoned him back to Rutherford Academy. That name, that place, instantly conjured images of the lonely, brilliant kid he'd been, the only black student in a sea of white uniforms, clutching books like a lifeline, forever branded as the weird one. They'd whispered, "He's too shy, he'll never make it in the real world." And while those words no longer stung like before, the memory still pricked his soul. He almost tossed the card, but a quiet, knowing smile touched his lips. Oh, how much they didn't know. Those 5 years hadn't been wasted. They were a crucible of late-night coding, relentless rejections, and the silent forging of an empire. Marcus Greene wasn't just the quiet boy they dismissed. He was the CEO of a burgeoning tech firm, a man worth more than their wildest dreams. Yet he kept his success hidden, preferring the calm of anonymity. He looked at his reflection, tired eyes, a worn hoodie, scuffed sneakers, and realized this understated facade was precisely his strength. They wanted a laugh? Let them gather with their hollow boasts and shallow pride, ready to tear him down. He slipped the invitation into his pocket, a slow, measured breath filling his chest. This wasn't just a reunion, it was an arena, and by the end of the night, their laughter would be choked into silence. Stepping into Rutherford's banquet hall, Marcus was enveloped by the crisp scent of lemon polish, the low hum of a projector, and the glint of gold balloons. He found his name tag, Marcus Greene, and pinned it to his faded hoodie, the needle snagging a loose thread. Heads turned, a ripple of recognition moving through the room. "Is that really him?" a voice behind a pillar hissed. "Same old hoodie, I told you he never changed." Another scoffed. "I heard he's stocking shelves somewhere." "No way," my cousin said. "He's living in his aunt's spare room." 5 years, and nothing, they assumed. He walked on, the plush carpet cushioning his deliberate steps. On stage, Trevor Vance, the self-appointed MC, tapped the mic, his cufflinks glinting. "Reunited and richer, huh?" "We'll see about that," he quipped, as high school photos flashed by. Lacrosse heroes, prom queens, and a science fair ribbon Marcus had once refused to pose with. Marcus chose a table in the back, observing the room like a seasoned coder, analyzing a complex system. Whitney drifted past, champagne flute in hand, diamonds sparkling. "Marcus, darling, you look positively vintage," she chirped, her smile never quite reaching her eyes, before flitting away. At the bar, Chad fumbled with his credit card, the machine chirping a humiliating denial. He tried another, but the bartender discreetly turned the screen away. "Did you hear Chad's app tanked again?" someone whispered. "Shh. Investors hate public autopsy." Trevor seized the mic again. Right. Right. Time for then and now." Photos flashed, lawyers, Pilates studio owners. Then Marcus's slide appeared. A blank gray square, labeled, "Photo not provided." A snort, then a wave of snickers. "Guess some stories just don't upload," Trevor joked, feigning sadness, eliciting more laughter. Marcus calmly wiped a condensation ring from his glass, feeling the room's chatter prickle his skin. Two girls nearby, oblivious, whispered, "Who even invited him?" Trevor did. He said it'd be hilarious. A full-circle pep talk. So savage, right? Brooke, Chad, and Ryan approached. "So, Marcus," Brooke purred, head tilted, still playing with computers. He simply nodded, something like that. "Nice," Chad boomed, a touch too loud. "We're all building things, you know? Startups, exits, just a matter of timing." He tugged at his blazer, trying to hide a frayed seam. "Market's weird. Rents are weirder," Ryan muttered, quickly silenced by a glare. Awards began. Best glow-up, biggest boss energy. Trevor's grin tightened as the laughs lagged. Finally, he held up an envelope like a magician. "And for our honorable mention, most likely to still be different. Marcus, are you around?" Eyes turned. A cough broke the silence. A thin, cutting silence. Marcus let it hang, his heartbeat steady. He slid his chair back, stood, and gave a small, enigmatic nod. "Thanks," a refusal, or perhaps a mercy. He sat back down as the mic drifted away, the jokes faltering. "Why did he even bother to come?" someone whispered. "For the content," another joked, We need a villain or a mascot. No, a softer voice countered, uncertain. He's so calm. That's not nothing. Marcus folded his napkin into a perfect tiny square, patiently waiting, letting the room expose its own truths. The night wore on, a veneer of forced cheer barely concealing the cracks beneath. Boasts were too loud, laughter too sharp. Marcus remained an anchor in the eye of the storm. Brooke carelessly tossed a shrimp tail into a half-empty glass. Chad, mid-rant, about seed funding, visibly deflated when his phone buzzed. The screen screaming, "Final notice." Whispers still swirled around Marcus. Did he even Uber here? Nah, probably hitchhiked. Look at those shoes, they're ancient. Each barbed comment felt like a cold touch on his back. He finished his water, setting the glass down with deliberate calm, wiping the damp ring once more. His eyes met Trevor's across the room. Trevor still basking in the spotlight, mic in hand. All right, all right. Trevor's voice buzzed with practiced charm. Time for a shout-out to our generous sponsor. Without them, he gestured grandly at the balloons and catered food. None of this would be possible. Marcus slowly straightened his shoulders, a deep breath in, a slow breath out. Trevor shuffled his cue cards. So let's hear it for Summit Gatherings. Who? Wait. His voice trailed off, the last card blank. He forced a strained grin. They've asked to remain anonymous. But hey, a round of applause anyway. Polite claps, a few whistles. Then Marcus rose. The scrape of his chair on the tile floor echoed through the hall, louder than the DJ. Head swiveled. He walked, steady and unhurried, toward the stage. The chatter died, replaced by a prickle of confused curiosity. Trevor's smile faltered as Marcus ascended the step. Marcus didn't take the mic. He simply stood, adjusting his cuff, letting the silence stretch until even the clinking of glasses ceased. Then, in a calm, clear voice, he spoke. I want to thank you all for coming, Marcus said, his gaze sweeping the hall, not with anger but with an unwavering steadiness. And I want to thank Summit Gatherings, which is in fact just me. Confusion rippled through the room. A nervous half-laugh sputtered and died. Wait, what? Someone muttered from the bar. Marcus pulled out his phone. A single tap, the projector behind him blinked. The high school slideshow replaced by a torrent of headlines. Green Technologies raises $40 million in Series B funding. The new face of AI infrastructure. A Forbes cover shot of a sharper, older Marcus in a sleek suit, undeniably him. Gasps erupted. That's him, a girl shrieked. No way. It's Photoshop, another stammered. But the articles kept scrolling, undeniable fact after fact. Marcus looked out at the sea of stunned faces that once sneered. His voice softened, as if sharing a profound secret. So, when you ask what I do now, it's something like this. He pocketed his phone. Behind him, the screen settled on a single devastating line. Estimated net worth, $18 million. The ensuing silence was unlike any before. Not the hush of cruelty, or the pause before laughter, but a heavy, weighted stillness that constricted throats and dampened palms. Marcus let it hang, then offered a small, knowing smile. The kind that said, the joke's over, and you missed the punchline. For a suspended moment, no one moved. Trevor, still clutching the mic, swallowed hard, his practiced grin dissolving into something tight and brittle. Well, he choked, his voice cracking like ice. Chad shifted uncomfortably, tugging at his blazer. Brooke's champagne glass wobbled, bubbles fizzing too loudly in the suffocating quiet. Whispers erupted like sparks. Is that real? Check your phone, man. Google it. I told you he was always different. Phones lit up across the room, blue light illuminating faces etched with disbelief. Confirmation spread like wildfire. Forbes, TechCrunch, investor lists. Marcus Greene wasn't just successful, he was untouchable. Then came the shame, rippling through them, a slow, sickening collapse of arrogance. The mouths that called him weird now pressed shut. The eyes that rolled couldn't meet his gaze. Marcus stood at the center, silent, powerful. He didn't need to raise his voice. The silence was his weapon now. From the edge of the room, two classmates whispered. Why did we laugh? The second voice cracked. Because we thought he'd never be anything. Now he's everything we said he couldn't be. Trevor lowered the mic, shrinking behind the podium. Marcus didn't even glance his way. He let the truth settle. Undeniable, impossible to sweep away. The boy in rags wasn't the joke anymore. He was the standard. Marcus stepped to the edge of the stage, his shadow stretching long. His voice, steady and calm, held no trace of anger or bitterness. You see, what you called weird was vision. What you called failure was patience. And what you laughed at became the reason you were standing in a hall I paid for. A collective gasp. Faces blanched, shame pressed down, heavier than their expensive suits. Brooke lowered her glass. Chad stared at the floor, mouth agape. Trevor gazed at his cue cards, as if willing them to rewrite the moment. Marcus let the silence thicken, then gave a small final nod. The difference between us isn't luck. It's what we chose to believe about ourselves and about each other. He stepped down, walked past their stunned, silent faces, and headed for the exit. No one moved to stop him. No one dared. The laughter that once tormented him now echoed only in their own memories, a mocking mirror of their arrogance. Marcus Greene walked out, head held high, the cool night air a balm on his skin. The label of loser was gone forever. He hadn't just won, he had owned the very stage they'd tried to bury him on, proving every insult wrong without ever raising his voice. What a night.